behind-the-scenes tour. You know, we put a lot of time and effort into Haunt. We feel very strongly about it. It's very important. Halloween just continues to grow as a holiday, and it's a very important time of the year for our parks. So we really try to rejuvenate a couple of attractions every year. So this will actually be the third iteration of a maze that we've had here. It started with Club Blood, and then it went to Desolation. And you know, honestly, it's about this time of year we start thinking, what are we going to do next year? Which maze do us looking at as funny? Those sorts of things. And the Haunt meetings that we have are probably the most fun meetings that we get to have as you know, employees here at the park. And we talk about the craziest things, and occasionally need to rein each other in a little bit. Occasionally. We have a lot of big thoughts. You know, what should be built bigger, better, badder. You know, we walk by the kind of the stage there, which started really with kind of a napkin drawing that just kind of evolved, and when we put it in, we went, holy cow, that's big. So we have a lot of fun. But this is Rich Litzenberger. So he's worked at the park since 1985. So long time. He's done a lot of the creative things you see around here. Hydra's sign, Rich did a lot of the sculpting on that, a lot of the 3D signage around the park. He's kind of our Imagineer, and he really takes Haunt under his wing, and you know, from the makeup and the concepts and the thoughts, you know, it's kind of like we just let Rich do his thing, and he works his magic. So this will be Rich's tour.
Thank you, Mike. Like you said, we have a lot of fun going on. It's for a lot of our folks here, not only the creative group that we have helping design and build most of this stuff, all the actors. It's a labor of love. You'll see a lot of the actors getting into their roles and just going for it. And it's a big family, and they do a really good job. Like you said, I take care of most of the design as far as Haunt goes. Most of the indoor mazes come through my fingers at some point. We have a really good team of creative people that have a lot of input. Like I said, we have a lot of fun in some of our meetings, and we were saying the other day, we'd be able to fly on the wall. Some of the stuff we can use, and some of the stuff we just have to pull back. But this is one of our new mazes this year. The other one that's down the lower end of the park, called Urgent Scare, that one also is new this year. This one, a couple of our sister parks have a maze that's similar. I think Knott's has one called Voodoo, and Worlds of Fun also has one called Blood on the Bayou. And it's set in New Orleans, Voodoo era, back in the late 1800s, Madame Laveau type of theme, where a lot of weird spirits have been going on, conjuring type things are going on. And we kind of captured some of that theme and kind of made a lot of interesting things to look at inside. This is probably one of our more elaborately themed attractions that we have. Most of them are pretty themed. It's probably a little bit smaller than the Desolation was, but it's packed in a nice package. So it's a really good maze. I'd like to hear everybody's thoughts when you guys come out, and definitely give us your input. I really appreciate it. It helps us make the event that much better, and challenges me on a design standpoint like you wouldn't believe. So we'll definitely like to hear your feedback. Does anybody have any questions before we go in?
How much input does your Fairs and Shane have in it, or you kind of give it free reign to do your own thing?
We come up with our own kind of ideas sometimes, and we actually have a collective committee of different people throughout the whole corporation that we get together periodically, and we'll throw different ideas out. We'll actually talk about what worked, what didn't work, what maybe we can improve upon. So it's not just a couple of people, it is a big group of people. Everything from, you know, creative staffing to operational staffing, safety, management. It's a big undertaking. It's huge. So yeah, there's a lot of input. Yeah. So sometimes we don't always get to do what we want to do, but there's some things in there that we definitely like to put in that are our own signature thing. Even though maybe the theme was brought in from another park, there's some touches that we kind of make our own. So we do have a little bit of that, especially if Mike signs off on it, and he likes it. So if we win him over, we're good. We're good. Any other questions?
You
create your own props and everything, or do you buy them?
A little bit of both. There's a lot of things in there that we'll create on property. Everything you see in here is designed, built, placed in-house. All our creative staff, all our scenic painters, everything is done in-house. We don't bring any big companies to come in. We might buy some bigger props, some of our animated props, but a lot of stuff we either buy, or one of the things I'm really proud of is we repurpose a lot of things. Whether it be from an old maze or things that maybe somebody just wants to get rid of and I try to keep it out of a landfill. I'm real proud of that fact. Because I don't like to see things getting landfills and clog up our ecosystem. So if I can use it, I will use it. And it works out pretty good in most cases. But
I didn't
do local myths?
local myths, that's a good question. I don't know if we haven't really done anything as far as local myths go. A lot of depends on what is trending that time of the year. I mean, I know the Saw movies were real big at one point, and we had a maze down Lower Inner Park that we kind of did after that. So there's a lot of different things that go into our decision making as far as what we're going to be doing for the following year. And a lot of it is what's popular a lot of times, whether it really is interesting.
we take a look at what we currently have in the park, and we think about, well, what don't we have? You know, like right now, so you guys always love, you know, little secrets. So right now we're looking around and we're saying, well, it's Halloween and we don't have vampires anywhere. So it's one of our discussions, what we do next year, should it be vampire related? And there's some other shows that are coming, so we may be on trend with that. Or, you know, do we go some other way, like Wax Museum? You know, that's not a trend or anything, but that was just something that we knew we could pull off and do really well. We did some research, and there was one at Cedar Point that we used as a little bit of a blueprint, and have fun with it.
And we try to give a good mix. So there's a lot of different experiences that you'll encounter in each one of our attractions. There's not really anything that you're going to see that's going to mimic one or the other. So with the portfolio that we have as far as our haunted attractions, there's a good mix of different genres going on. So we hope everybody is very entertained, whether they're scared or whether they watch their family member or friends being scared. We hope you guys have a good time. No, we have those.
We do have those already.
Yes.
And those are ours. They're not out there anywhere. Yes, for the record.
What's the size of your prop shop and your storage area for all this? Because it's growing every year. The storage area has to be.
It's challenging. Along with being creative in the houses, it becomes very creative to store some of this stuff. And just like this building will stay out year round, we'll actually take a portion of it and we'll use it for storage for some of our props and other items that are scattered throughout the park. So we get very creative as far as where we put things. As far as our prop shop, we have a lot of our seasonal haunt characters that help us out throughout the summer with build, decorating. We'll have everything pretty much mapped out before they even come on board. Whether it be having blueprints already done, that we follow building codes. One of our biggest and one of my proudest things that we do is safety is a big number one for us. My own daughter works in some of these mazes, so it's I take it to heart that we do a really good job with being safe, whether it being fire rated, making sure our safety distances are met. So that's very important to us. Very important to me personally. So it's.
And sometimes things could be scarier, but we want to maintain a certain walkway, or we want to, you know, make sure that there's pathways. We've got illuminated arrows and such, and some of the other places may not have those, but for us it's important for safety.
Yeah, we want you guys to enjoy yourself, but ultimately your safety is important to us, number one.
But one of the things Rich goes to auctions, and there's all kinds of auctions to go to. I went twice with Rich. Each time was a very different experience. Once, literally for the Wax Museum, there was a Wax Museum that was going out of business. So we went to the auction, and you know, we didn't pick up the A-list characters that were in there, but we picked up the people in the background, and he yelled at me I was bidding too much, and you wait a little bit to the fifth or sixth time that the head is available, and it's a lot cheaper than the first or second one that comes up. But also a lot of just, you know, farm auctions and things. And sometimes, you know, Rich has his prop list. He wants to find certain things. And other times, that's really cool. I could use this here. And when Rich gets his glow on his face, it's like, all right, what'd you find now? And then it's, how are we getting it home?
It's always a challenge. It's okay.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. We had a good time at that auction too. And we had a lot of good. You go through Wax Museum, pay attention to some of the figures that are in there. It's a little disconcerting how real some of them look, and we got that for advantage. So. Anybody else have any questions before we go in?
Is there anything specific about this specific house that has caused this one to have the most turnover over the years, or?
Not really. Like Mike said, we'll look and see what's going on, what we're experiencing from a guest standpoint, feedback we get from guests, what kind of the maintenance issues we might have in some of the houses, how well it was put together. Some other things going on is, as you can see, we're starting construction on some of our new Grove area project back here, so some of that might even come into play in making our decisions for us. So there's a lot of things that go into making our decisions. It's not just one thing or another. It's a whole laundry list of items.
That pirate ship you have down the bottom, how do you get that in there?
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. Actually, there's a good piece of fact information. That's actually one of the biggest props that the corporation has in its portfolio. If it would be one piece, it's about 75 feet long, about 23 or 24 feet wide, and about 33 feet high with the mast. And because it's in, and you see it in 3 sections, but it's actually in more than 3 sections. A lot of it comes apart, and we'll basically crane it in and out of certain areas. And we actually, believe it or not, we store it outside because of its sheer size, and we wrap it and protect it for our winter weather. And it's a really good prop. It's really big, and it's very realistic looking.
So there's no blueprints for that. So when they came up with that they wanted to do this, they had a Lego pirate ship, and then they kind of put it on its side a little bit to get the angles, and the carpenters were constantly going back and forth and looking at cross sections and how do we build this? Because there's no plans.
No, I mean we were able to get our hands on some plans, but unfortunately I don't speak German, and it was a little tough to decipher the scale. But between the model, the Lego model, and some of those drawings, we made it work. And the real trick to that one was that we didn't want it just a flat blanket thing that you walked up to. Well, I wanted to see this thing leaning on an angle like it was shipwrecked, and we wanted to have the curvature of the bow. We wanted to have it as realistic as possible and stay within budget. And I think we've met that.
Well, we got most of that.
Yes, most of it.
Do you share props between parts?
Sometimes. It depends on what they are. I'm trying to think if we ever had any props that we shipped out. Can't recall any offhand, but sometimes that happens. It all depends on what the other parts are putting in and what we can finagle from them as well. Because we'd like to get something in return. It happens once in a while.